I'm gonna review Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. Boyfriend Material is about Luke. He's kind of a shitty person. He's the son of a famous musician, and he's a bad friend. He's generally unlikable character. What triggers the story is him needing to keep up appearances for the paparazzi that follows him, and meeting this boy, Oliver, and deciding to pretend to be boyfriends for a few functions. And little by little they get to know each other, and of course, as it's a romance, fall in love. Both of his parents are musicians. His mom was famous in the 80s. He has a close relationship with her, and his father is a famous musician who's still making music and who was an absent father. So my favorite character was Oliver, the partner. I think it's really easy for stories about love and romance to get caught up in arms and torsos and things of that nature when describing men. This book artfully portrayed a very positive masculinity, gestures of frustration, his moods and his patience. So it was beautiful how Alexis could describe characters through how they felt, through how they dressed, to kind of create a whole person that went beyond just a physical description. Alexis was able to bring across this warm, loving, solid character. Oliver is described, occasionally by his physique, but mostly by his coat and how Luke would hide in the coat. I think of Oliver as this coat that's strong and it's there and it's safe and it's reasonable and calm. I get invested in books, and little by little I started to, get an idea for what Oliver was like. And I could also relate a lot to Luke. Luke, I think of skinny jeans, I think of a little whiny, not as likable. But at the same time, I could relate to the absent father, difficult relationship with the mom. I could see myself. Often when we don't like people, it's because we see ourselves in them. Luke is full of anxiety and doubt, but in the story, I could relate to Luke. Oliver had his flaws too, of course. I think that's what makes characters real and makes them human and makes humans human, when the characters have flaws, when they're really trying their best. And I think what made this story beautiful in a way that other love stories I've watched or read haven't really accomplished would be the friend group. I think that oftentimes love stories kind of mirror a toxic trait couples can have of forgetting they have friends and just falling into each other in this magical fantasy world. But it was really great that the friendship group was really strong and they knew each other so well to the point that it felt like you knew them. There's the token straight character who was always late, always has some work drama, but deep down really, really cares, even though she's always late. There's the Roys, a couple who have the same name, and even characters having the same name, they're so different. I think as a writer, I write too a little bit. It's easy to just put your own voice into every character, so with the friend group, it was really special to see. Everyone had their own sense of self, and I could see them at a cafe right now, and one would be late. I don't remember their names, it's been a little while. The couple would be fawning over their baby. One of them, the more serious Roy, would be making sure that the stroller wasn't going to move, while the other one would be telling everyone how cute the baby was. The lesbian would be there, complaining about why they're at this restaurant that's probably gentrified and complaining about how much the parking was, and everyone would be thanking her for giving them a ride in her truck. And Luke would be there trying to get the conversation to circle back to him. It's been like a month or so since I read this book, but the characters were so distinct that I feel like I know them. And I think there's something magical about queer relationships, queer friendships in particular. It was really beautiful to have a story where that community was really a part of the fabric that made up the book. My favorite part of the book, I think the pacing. I think the appreciation Alexis pen had for the raw beauty of life. Oftentimes we can get caught up in action movies and drama and fast-paced things. A lot of the box office and some of the biggest shows are this kind of aggressive story of violence and Alexis Hall was just writing about life. You know, there weren't aliens, there wasn't a secret conspiracy. It was just life and working at a relationship, working at being a friend, working at being a son. I always appreciate it when a book doesn't have queerness as a debatable part of the story. That's just who they were. That was their reality. A queer story is just not something I'd read a lot, so just having the queerness be just a part of the story and having friendships and having this kind of beautiful reality that I wasn't really aware of until I moved to Oakland. In Cusco, I did have some queer friends, but it didn't kind of go over into being so normalized that it was just life. So reading Alexis Hall's book was just, I don't know, just beautiful because it was just life being queer, and that was pretty magical. I think what I loved most about the book was how relatable it was. Coming out as a girl has been a lot. It's changed my perception. The other day I watched a movie and I felt like I could identify with the girl, or the woman, one of the women main characters, in a subconscious way. And I found that although this wasn't a trans story, it was still a queer love story, and that kind of love story just hits different. It's much more relatable. There's something more fierce, more wild, more daring about it, because to be queer, to be attracted to the same gender, to be attracted to many genders, you have to confront what love means, what romance means, what attraction means. When you meet someone who's out as queer, they've already done a lot of work in figuring out where their place in society is. So in my experience, queer love is approached with so much more strength. If you're a cis, straight couple, of course love is magical and beautiful, but it's kind of like doing what you're expected to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just there's no resistance, there's no pushback. You know, your family expects you to find the opposite sex and to get married, to have kids and get a good job, and no one expects you, or in some cases no one wants you to be queer. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about representation lately and what I consume, and there's enough cis straight love stories. I think it's time for everyone to read more queer stories because it's just so real. I guess I'm just saying I can relate to it more because I am queer. I'm pansexual. It was good. I almost cried a few times. I wish my friend group was that cool. I know my book reviews are a little weird. It's a lot of images and then feelings, so I'm just trying to convey the feelings I had while reading this. Thank you, Alexis Hall. I enjoyed your story very much.